Well, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AR Legends. And yeah, guys, today I am back with another series for you guys, which is gonna be what if Naruto was neglected by his family and had all sharingans. So, yeah, guys, it is gonna be really OP of a series. So, hopefully, you guys will like it. And yeah, guys, I've already uploaded the next part of what if Naruto was neglected and had that power in this channel. So if you guys have not seen it, please guys check it out. You guys will definitely like it. And yeah guys, for the next part of this series, the like goal is gonna be 200 likes and 80 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as soon as possible. So yeah guys, before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to the channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so. It would be really helpful to me as I want to reach 20k subscribers, and you guys subscribing would be really appreciated. And I have also put the link of my Instagram within the description below. So please follow me on Instagram. So without any further ado, let us start the video. So I'm gonna start my video with a figure that could be no older than at the age of 7 was moving across rooftops at a blinding speed. As this figure finally arrived to a secluded area to see that two people who were previously there were simply going towards a simple direction after doing some hand signs as they left, as the figure looked down to see that there was some kind of barrier that was present there. After sensing that the other two guards has already left, the figure jumped down as he arrived in front of the area and started to go through some hand signs, and just like that the barrier that was previously there started to shimmer a little and disappear as the figure smirked, as this figure had blondish hair that could be seen from, you can say, his sides, as the figure simply walked inside of the area and finally removed his hood to reveal the face of a child no older than of age of 7, as this was our hero Naruto Uzumaki. Well, that could be debatable anyways, as Naruto Uzumaki simply looked around to see books, scrolls all across the area as not to smirk at that. This was the perfect opportunity. He has studied this whole place for quite some time, and this was the perfect time and the perfect opportunity for him to sneak into the Uchiha's library as not to smirk at that, as he made a hand sign, and just like that 20 shadow clones appeared behind him as he looked towards all of them, but this time in his eyes, rather than being blue eyes just like his father, this time it was 3 Tomo sharingans spinning in his eyes, and just like that all of his 20 shadow clones has the same eyes as all of them looked towards each other and towards their boss and nodded as they rushed towards the scroll greedily, with greed clear in their eyes, and started to look through the scrolls after scrolls as not to smirk. His clones will take care of things here for him to go to the upward area as Naruto moved and once again arrived in front of a nonchalant looking wall as if nothing was there, but to Naruto's eyes the clear passage was there as Naruto smirk and go through some hand signs, and just like that the seals that were previously there simply disappeared as Naruto finally arrived to the, you can say, upper section of the Uchiha secret library, as there were scrolls after scrolls of A rank and B rank and above techniques, even though they were not much S rank techniques, but there were some useful one and speculations like fire style, grade, majestic destruction of Uchiha Madara, as Naruto smirked at that as he started to go through the scrolls with his Sharingan spinning once again, but he finally arrived to a scroll that was, you can say, he was unable to see with his Sharingan, but something was there. But Naruto only smirked at that, and suddenly his eyes started to spin madly and started to make a symbol of a star. As Naruto smirked at that, this was one of his abilities of his eyes, as Naruto finally was able to see what was written in it. And just like he thought, this was the technique of Madara Uchiha of Great Majestic Destroyer Flame. As Naruto smirked at that, finally he was able to get his hand on a S rank technique of this caliber, and that was really interesting. As finally, after an hour, Naruto finally looked towards the library with greed in his eyes. He has already memorized all the memories, all the scrolls that were here. All that was needed was a simple look as Naruto smirked at that. At that point, he could feel some chakra signatures that were returning back as Naruto simply shook his head, and just like that, a swirl started to appear from his eyes, sucking him inside as Naruto muttered a simple word, Kamui. And just like that, he was caught. When the guards arrived, no one was there, so they didn't thought much of it and decided to take their position. After all, their plan of, you can say, Uchiha's was already on their way. As Naruto finally arrived on top of the Naraka shrine, after all, there were still some scrolls here, and the meeting of the Uchihas was already over. Naruto scoffed in his mind. These foolish Uchihas were truly arrogant. They honestly believed that they were powerful enough to take over Konoha. As Naruto simply shook his head, this was not gonna end well for them, and Naruto did not care much about them anyways. After all, they may be related from far, far away, but he didn't care much about them, just like they didn't care about anyone other than their own pride. And when he saw that Fukaku Uchiha has already left, Naruto once again uses Kamui to appear in front of the entrance as there were some seals, but Naruto's eyes was easily able to, you can say, recognize them and disable them. As he finally arrived to the place to see that there were some scrolls that were there of a S-rank techniques, as Naruto smirked as he also saw the Naraka shrine of tablet. He has already seen it before, as Naruto simply scoffed at it. After all, he didn't consider this tablet to be more useful. After all, his eyes has already evolved without him killing anyone, so there was no need for him to look at the scroll at the tablet. It was useless to him as Naruto quickly memorized the scrolls, and just like that, once again activating his Kamui to leave the area, leaving none the wise. And just like Naruto had, you can say, thought, after some days the Uchiha massacre appeared, just like he has taught by Itachi Uchiha, also a user of a Mangekyo Sharingan. As Naruto was easily able to, you can say, keep track of Itachi, he has also seen another Mangekyo user which has some abilities like his Kamui, which was pretty useful, even though Naruto had more abilities as his Sharingan was far more evolved than either that little kid. Well, in Naruto's eyes, of course, Itachi or that other masked guy, but these two were threats and he will take care of them in the future. But at the moment, he was here to, you can say, benefit from this, you can say, whole ordeal. So, when Itachi and, you can say, Obito had decided to leave, Naruto also decided to take this opportunity to take care of his some business. When, you can say, Ambu had finally arrived to the place, they had seen the Uchiha massacre, but some of them were even more surprised to see that the eyes of the dead Uchihas were all missing, and some of their other, you can say, valuables were also missing. While, on the other hand, now let us get back to Naruto's, you can say, life. At the moment, he was simply looking towards his so-called siblings, as both of them were simply sparring with each other, and his parents were simply doting on both of them as Naruto looked towards them with utter boredom in his eyes. From as far as he could remember, he was different from his siblings. They were simply brats in his eyes, and he didn't care much about them, even though he has heard about all the Uchiha sibling love or bullshit like that, as Naruto did not feel any attachment towards his parents, nor did he felt any attachment towards his so-called siblings, even when they were simply doting on them, saying that how they needed the training and how they're gonna be the children of the destiny or some bullshit like that, as Naruto didn't actually care about it. Especially that foolish Jiraiya and Tsunade were always saying that how they were meant for greatness, as Naruto simply didn't see it, and his eyes were the most evolved one in the whole Elemental Nation. So Naruto simply disregarded them, but this did point, you can say, opportunities for Naruto to get his hands on some of the scrolls that were present in the Uzumaki Namikaze library. The only thing frustrated him was, you can say, he was unable to get his hand on, you can say, Horizon, as Minato was keeping the scroll of the Horizon on himself with a small seal so that no one would have access to it. And that angered Naruto, as he could already tell the technique was truly useful, even though he has his Kamui, but still, he would like to get his hand on the Horizon as well. If, you can say, opportunity were to present him itself, he has already, you can say, memorized the scroll of Rasengan, and he will master it in the future. And now, let us have a bit of time skip. In this time, Naruto has sneaked into almost all the clans of Konoha and read through their scrolls, their secret techniques, and all that. The only you can say clan he didn't enter was that of Nara and Aburame clan, as those two clans were truly sneaky, as Naruto was unable to find the location of the library with some you can say by using genjutsus on different members. Only the you can say higher members knew about the location, and he was unable to get to them, even though he was confident that his eyes could put them in an illusion, though he didn't risk it. But soon enough, in the future, he will also go there to, you can say, take what he wants, as not to smirk at that. And now, he was at the age of 13. At this moment, his, you can say, sibling Menma was fighting off against Sasuke in a, you can say, small stadium, as both of them were fighting with each other, as Ruka was looking towards them with pride in his eyes. After all, these two were the, you can say, pride of the whole class and this whole batch, as he thought that the son of the Hokage Menma Namikaze and Sasuke Uchiha, the so-called last Uchiha, were truly prodigies and rivals at the same time. And just like that, Iruka step in. Alright, that is enough, both of you. As both Sasuke and Menma were panting, as Sasuke was looking frustrated, as Menma had a smirk on his face. After all, even though they were looking matched, Menma had more strength and Sasuke had more agility, but Menma was least damaged by the attacks of Sasuke, and Sasuke was unable to do anything. As Ruka said, alright class, tomorrow you're gonna have your graduation exam, so be ready for it. As after saying that, he gave a small speech and went off, as Naruto simply scoffed inwardly, but he was simply, you can say, looking down at a seemingly a small book. Well, in the eyes of most, but to Naruto's eyes, this was a small, you can just scroll he was reading at the moment. After all, he was developing some theories. He has already learned many jutsus all across, you can say, Konoha, and soon enough, he will, you can say, learn from the other villages as well. But at the moment, he was working on his Fune jutsu. It seemed that he has taken some liking to that art. It was truly intriguing, especially to his eyes. After all, he was able to memorize any seal, though it would still be hard for him to, you can say, perform the whole seal. After all, the seals require step by step. It is not like drawing that you can just draw at the moment. So, and hope that it works. No, it doesn't work like that. That was the reason that even though Uchihas could remember each and every seal, they were unable to perform it, as they didn't knew the rules and the laws of, you can say, making a seal to begin with. But Naruto knew about it, so he was simply working on his own work. And finally, a voice spoke up, "Hey loser, what are you doing there?" As Naruto looked upward to see that his foolish little brother was there, as Menma was looking towards him with a smirk on his face. As Naruto looked towards him and then looked back towards his book, completely ignoring Menma, which angered many of the fangirls of Menma. And even Naruko had a, you can say, frown on her face as she spoke up, "Hey, he's talking to you, listen to him." As Naruto stood up and started to walk away, as Menma gritted his teeth. As far as he could remember, his older brother always has a nonchalant, you can say, expression on his face and an aura around him whenever he looked towards either towards Mito or himself, as if he was looking towards a inferior creature, and that angered Menma. After all, he was far stronger than Naruto, well, as far as he could tell, and the favorite of his, you can say, parents. But whenever he was around Naruto, he always felt inferior, which angered him even further. He wanted to attack him, but there was something off, as if his instincts were against it, as he gritted his teeth and looked towards Mito. "Let us go." After saying that, he simply started to walk away, surprising many of the people there. Even Mito had the same feelings as Naruto, so as Menma, so she could understand as she started to walk away. While on the other hand, in the Hokage office, Minato was looking towards the whole, you can say, looking toward the teams that were to be made. Well, many people think that the Hokage made all the teams, but that is not exactly true. The Hokage only make the teams of the clan heirs and the important figures that are there. And other than that, it is the duty of the academy instructor to make the teams best suited, and you can say give it to Hokage so that he could put random Jonins on it. Other than that, Minato was looking toward the teams he was making, and he was confident that most of them would work. And at the moment, there was only two teams he had to think about it. Well, it was already clear that he's gonna put Sasuke, and you can say with Kakashi. After all, he was the only one with the Sharingan, but there was a problem. He cannot put, you can say, Menma and Mito into the team, as he has already promised Kushina that she will be the instructor for both of them, and Yamato will be insist, you can say, training them from time to time. So he cannot have a three, you can say, instructors to a single team. So Kakashi would have to, you can say, take the hit this time, as he saw who to put as the last member, as a name flashed in his mind, but he simply shook his head as he looked towards the last report. His eldest son, Naruto, as he had a small frown on his face. He was not exactly too close to Naruto as far as he could remember. The kid was always excluded from the family activity. It was not like that. He didn't like Naruto or he didn't love him. No, it was not like that. It was just something was always off with Naruto, even though he knew that in the early ages he had to train Menma and Naruto to, you can say, train to use the Cubist chakra, and he always has to examine the seal over and over again to see how the seal was holding off. He simply cannot risk a child being there while he was training two Jinchurikis. Who knows when they will lose control and Minato would have to subdue them. And there was also the risk of chakra poisoning if one of them released such chakra to a, you can say, young kid whose chakra network is still developing. That would not have been good for Naruto. So that was done in good intentions. Well, anyways, as he simply shook his head, but at the moment, Naruto was not exactly on the top of the, you can say, roster, and he was not at the bottom. He was somewhere in the middle. So he will, you can say, only bring down the team. So he simply shook his head. And finally, the another member, as his Sai, it seemed that this would have to do, as the last member is gonna be Sai. And finally, you can say, he said, well, for Kakashi, let's say that, as he said, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, and you can say Naruto will do as the members of Team 7, as he simply nodded his head, this will have to work. As he saw, he already knew that these people are gonna pass, even Naruto is gonna pass. So all he had to do is to wait. And just like that, he thought, next day has finally arrived and the graduation exam has finally gone off, just like he had thought, as many of the people which the instructors already knew has already passed, as Naruto has already passed, as he had his headband on his head as he walked out of the room where Ruka and Mizuki had just tested him. And now let us cut back to the Hokage office as Minato said, alright then, Team 8 and finally Team 11 is gonna be Menma, Mito and Sai, and that instructor is gonna be Kushina Uzumaki. At this, Kushina had a bright smile on her face while Kakashi looked dejected as Minato chuckled a little. And finally, Team 7 is gonna be Kakashi Hatake, Naruto Uzumaki Namakase, and Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. At this, Kakashi was a bit intrigued. Well, he already knew that Naruto was not as talented as Menma. After all, Menma was like a little brother to him. He has trained Menma along with, you can say, Minato, Kushina, and sometimes Jiraiya and Tsunade whenever they like to come, even though Tsunade leaned more towards Mito, but he didn't care much about it, and Menma was like a little brother to him, and so he wanted to train him, but it seemed that his sensei was right. After all, Sasuke was the last Uchiha and he needed training with the Sharingan. So he had to make do, and it seemed that he needs to, you can say, bond with Naruto as well. So he simply sighed at that as Minato said, alright then, all of you can leave. Kushina, Kakashi, why don't you stay back? After saying that, you can say all the Jonin instructors has already left to meet with their team. As you can say, Minato was about to say something, but then suddenly a figure jumped out of the window. Well, guess what? Who is here? As this was none other than Jiraiya, who was making a stupid pose. As Minato sighed, as there was a knock on the door, as two figures step in. These were none other than Tsunade and Shizune. As Tsunade looked towards Jiraiya with a sigh, as Minato gave them a smile as he said, "Well, Shizune-san, why don't you wait a bit outside and I will call you later?" As Shizune nodded, as she decided to leave the room, as Minato said, "Well, since you guys are already here, let us discuss about the matter at hand." As Jiraiya said, "Well, Minato, I must say that that was a good idea. Yamato should already, you can say, start to teach both Menma and Naruto I think that it is about time for them to use more tails as they have already mastered one tails, but I don't think that that is enough. Both of them should be able to go up to 9 tails in the coming years. So we need to train them more and more as possible, especially in the use of the QB chakra." As Minato nodded at that, well, Kushina will be there with the chakra chains. She should be able to subdue both Menma and Mito if there need be, and Yamato will be there. His presence alone will make it easy for both Menma and Mito to use QB chakra. As Jiraiya simply nodded at that, he was looking forward to teaching Menma, while on the other hand, Tsunade was mainly here for Mito, as the small kid was learning her super strength technique, and she was truly impressed with her ability, especially she has, you can say, chakra chains like her mother, so she was learning fast, and Tsunade was, you can say, expected to teach her her secret, you can say, seal on her forehead as well, seal of 100 healing, if he's not mistaken, as Minato thought in his mind. As he looked towards, you can say, all of them, as he looked towards Kakashi, "Well, Kakashi, you also have some responsibility. You have to teach Sasuke how to use sharingan whenever he awakens it." And Jiraiya muttered under his breath, "If he awakens it," as Minato simply gave him a look. But Jiraiya simply shrugged at that, "And you also have some, you can say, responsibility towards Naruto. I know that he's not as talented as Menma and Mito and he's not been given some special training, even though I should have given him in some instructions, but the kid was always off. So you have to give him some, you can say, instructions so that he could not be a burden to his team, as he's already in the middle of the roster, so he shouldn't be much of trouble for you." As Kakashi sighed but nodded nonetheless, as Jiraiya snorted a little but decided not to say anything. After all, there was little he knew about the kid, and honestly, he was not much interested of knowing the kid as well. As far as he could tell, Menma and Mito were the chosen ones, so he had to put all of his focus on them and give them all the training they needed, and when they will have all the power of the QB under control, they will bring peace to the shinobi world, just like the great Elder Toad Sage has said. So Minato decided to dismiss most of them as Kakashi was going on his way, as he decided to, you can say, finally arrive to the place where his team was waiting for him for almost 3 years, while on the other hand, Naruto was simply moving his pencil and looking towards a seal he was working on at the moment, as he could already sense the presence of the Jonin that was arriving at the academy at the moment. As Naruto said, it seemed that our Jonin instructor has finally arrived, as Sasuke was looking outside of the window, thinking of the ways he's gonna kill Itachi, while on the other hand, Sakura had hearts in her eyes as she was looking towards Sasuke, as you can say, Sasuke was the only one who has acknowledged what Naruto has said. He was a bit surprised. After all, he has not seen this kid talk much. Well, he knew that he was the older brother of Menma, but other than that, he knew nothing about Naruto, as he was always the silent one, as Sakura has not even heard Naruto, as she was still looking towards Sasuke and trying to examine his each and every detail of his body, while on the other hand, finally you can say the door opened as Kakashi stepped in, as he said, my first impression of you guys is that I don't like you. Why don't you guys meet me at the rooftop? After saying that, he sent away, while on the other hand, Naruto, who started to step forward towards the window and jumped out, while on the other hand, Sasuke, who was about to walk away, his eyes suddenly widened when he saw the kid performing that. He didn't knew that the kid was crazy as he went outside to see what happened, but to his surprise, nothing was there. As he looked upward to see that the older brother of Menma was simply walking on the walls as his eyes widened. He has never seen something like that. How is this even possible? As he decided to run, to, you can say, move as fast as he could to reach the rooftop. While on the other hand, Sakura was simply looking towards Sasuke with hearts in her eyes and decided to follow him once again, not even knowing that while he was running as fast as he could. While on the other hand, Kakashi has just arrived at the rooftop, wondering when they will arrive, but then he felt a presence. But to his surprise, the presence was already upon him when he sensed it as he looked back, pretty surprised to see that a kid was walking up the rooftop of the wall as he was reading a book. As this was none other than his sensei son Naruto, as Naruto finally arrived on the rooftop and decided to take his seat. And he was still reading the book, not even looking towards Kakashi, as Kakashi was also reading the book, as both of them looked towards each other and simultaneously moved the page to the next page. At this, you can say Kakashi was pretty surprised. After all, that ability to sneak up on a person, that was really something else, and he was already able to perform 3 walking exercise. It seemed that he has underestimated the son of his sensei, but it was to be expected. Even though his sensei has not taught Naruto anything, he still lived in the same room, in the same house. He must have seen Menma and Naruto performing this technique and must have learned it. As he thought in his mind and nodded, after some time Sasuke has already arrived, as he was, you can say, pretty surprised to see that Naruto was there, as he wanted to ask him something, but after noticing that his sensei was there, he decided to, you can say, not do it right now. As after some time, a painting Sakura has already arrived as she decided to take her seat beside Sasuke and once again looking towards him with hearts in her eyes. As Kakashi sighed, a fangirl, well, great. As he thought in his mind and looked towards all of them. Well, my name is Kakashi Hatake and I'm gonna be your instructor. So, let us introduce ourselves as once again they decided to go on about themselves, especially Sakura, that how she loves Sasuke and how she wanted to help him revive the Uchiha clan. And when it finally went to Naruto, as Naruto simply looked towards him, well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like training and learning new techniques. And my goal, well, I don't know, maybe to know all the techniques in the world. As Kakashi raised an eyebrow at that, he has, you can say, only once heard someone like saying that how they want to learn all the techniques in the world. As his eyes narrowed for a, you can say, fraction of a second, but decided not to say anything about it, as he simply nodded at that as he said, alright then, I'm gonna have a test for you guys tomorrow, so do not eat. After saying that, he gave the instructions and decided to leave to report to his sensei. As after some time, Kakashi has already arrived in the office. He was a bit surprised to see that Kushina was already there and Jiraiya and Tsunade were also present there. As he arrived, as he said, well, sensei, as you can say, Minato looked towards Kakashi. So, you're already here. Don't tell me that. You have already seen what they are capable of. As Kakashi simply shook his head, I'm gonna test them tomorrow with the belt test. As Kushina smirked, well, Batman and Mito and Sai has already passed the, you can say, belt test. They were easily able to perform, and Sai was able to figure out the true meaning of the test as well. And Menma and Mito, just like always, has great teamwork. As Minato smiled at that, as both Jiraiya and Tsunade had proud looks on their faces. As you can say, Kakashi looked towards Minato. Well, sensei, I have introduced myself to the team. At this, you can say, Tsunade snickered a little, but Kakashi ignored her. And I have this something to tell you. As Kakashi went on about Sakura, Sasuke, even though most of them were simply half-heartedly listening to them, and it was not, you can say, unexpected of Sasuke's answer. But finally, when it went to Naruto, as Kakashi said, well, sensei, something is truly off about Naruto. At this, Minato perked up as well as Kushina. After all, they did want you to know about their strange son, if they were to say. It seemed that Naruto was able to sneak up to me, and it was only at the last second I was able to see him walking off the wall. At this, Minato raised an eyebrow at that. He was pretty sure that that was not a academy technique. So how did Naruto learn it? So I suppose that he must have learned it after seeing you guys giving instructions to Menma and Mito. As Minato was a bit confused but nodded nonetheless. Not only that, he has said something that his goal is to learn all the techniques in the world. After he said those words, the alarm bells has already were ringing in the heads of Jiraiya. After all, this was the same goal as Orochimaru as his eyes narrowed a little bit towards Kakashi. Are you sure about that, Kakashi? As Kakashi nodded at that, well, I do not know how sure or how much he wants this goal, but he has said this to me, and he looked towards Minato as Minato had a frown on his face. To be honest, he never thought of Naruto's personality much, and seeing that how he wants to learn all the techniques in the world, that was truly something of for someone like a kid to say, but he simply shook his head. Well, Naruto is a kid, and kids like flashy techniques, so it is not something off that people think that they could learn all the techniques in the world. Well, Kakashi, you just keep an eye on him and tell me about his progress, and nothing is off about it. After all, kids like flashy techniques, and he must have thought that there were only few techniques in the world, so do not think much of it. At this, he simply calmed down the room, even though Jiraiya was feeling something was off and was not exactly trusted of the kid. Anyone who has the same goal as Orochimaru was not to be trusted in his mind after all. As he said, alright, why don't you test them and tell me about their skills tomorrow, Kakashi? You are dismissed. As Kakashi nodded and simply flashed away. Now, let us get back to the next day. Finally, Team 7 was present and Kakashi has finally arrived. As he looked towards all of them, he could already tell Kakashi that Sasuke and Sakura had not eaten by their, you can say, fatigue, while on the other hand, Naruto was still reading that strange book. One of these days, he's gonna have to take a peek what was truly inside of that book. But he was looking pretty well. Well, he couldn't tell that if the kid has eaten or not. But he simply shook his head. As he said, alright, all you guys have to do is to take these bells from me and you pass. So, Sakura once again told her that how they were only two bells. So they went off about the whole thing about, you can say, one of you are gonna leave the team and things like that. And finally, Kakashi said, alright then, begin. After saying that, both Sasuke and Sakura simply went off as Naruto was still reading the book. As Kakashi looked towards him, I think that book is really interesting. Perhaps you would like to exchange books. As he gave an eye smile to Naruto while pointing towards his Ichi paradise. As Naruto looked towards him with a raised eyebrow, you think so? Well, he'd have a look as Naruto threw the, you can say, book towards Kakashi. As Kakashi was a bit surprised and he was also a bit intrigued as he was about to grab the book, but suddenly the book started to glow as Kakashi's eyes widened as he quickly performed the substitution technique, and just like that, boom! As you can say, it exploded as Naruto smirked towards Kakashi, who was now a distance away. As Naruto said, well, oops, I think that was the wrong book, consists of paper bombs. As Kakashi looked towards Naruto, pretty surprised and shocked at the same time, as Naruto gave an eye smile, and just like that, one moment Naruto was there and the next moment he was in front of Kakashi as Kakashi's eyes widened with that incredible speed. As he was about to grab the hand of Naruto, but to his surprise, Naruto simply went past by him as his eyes widened. That was a clone, as he was unable to see him. But how? How did he meet such a clone? After all, he was an experienced Jonin. He should be able to differentiate between a clone and a real person, and that was just a E-rank clone technique. And the next moment, a fist slammed into his, you can say, face as Kakashi staggered back a little bit. As the kid was performing, you can say, techniques and combos he didn't has seen before. As Kakashi looked towards Naruto, a bit intrigued as he said, that was interesting. As he finally looked towards Naruto and said, well, it seemed that I cannot underestimate you. Well then, as he decided to put his book away, as Kakashi said, well, don't blame me for not going easy. After all, you are good, Naruto. After saying that, he rushed towards him ready to test him as he decided to use some, you can say high level Chunin speed for fighting, but to his surprise, Naruto dodged his attack and brought out a kunai and threw towards Kakashi as Kakashi simply deflected the kunai, and the next moment a fireball was coming towards him. As Kakashi's eyes widened when he did learn a fireball technique, as he quickly substituted out of the way. But when he finally arrived to the place, suddenly seals started to appear on the ground. As Kakashi's eyes widened when several chains appeared from the seas as Kakashi greeted his state, once again performing the substitution technique. But to his surprise, the seals were now following him along with the chains as Kakashi greeted his state as he started to go through hand sign, lightning style. Lightning Dragon as he released a Lightning Dragon which clashed with the chains and the seals, destroying them. As he simply smirked at that, the kid was good. Hell, he didn't knew that where he learned that technique, but that was impressive, he must say that. Suddenly, he felt his danger senses going off as he quickly moved back from, you can say, a wind blade has went past by him by a mere inches. That would have really hurt on his back if that were to hit him. As Kakashi looked back to see that Naruto was there, and he could already see a shimmering form of wind in his hand. As Naruto smirked towards Kakashi, suddenly, two hands appeared on the ground trying to grab Kakashi as Kakashi quickly jumped out of the way as he already knew what that technique was, and now he was in mid-air as Naruto started to go through hand sign as a clone appeared as both Naruto and the clone started to go through hand sign, fire style, Phoenix Flood Jutsu, wind style, great wind through, and just like that, both of the techniques combined together as a gigantic, you can say, fireballs were now coming towards Kakashi as Kakashi greeted his state at that as he started to go through hand signs at a rapid speed as he said fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu as he released the same technique hoping that it would cancel out or stop the technique, and just like that he performed several substitutions to get the hell out of there, and just like that there was a, you can say, tsunami of fire with heat all over the place. While on the other hand, in the bushes, Sasuke could not believe his eyes. He had always thought that Menma was his strongest rival and how he was the strongest member in the whole team and considered to be a rival for him. But now, seeing that the older brother of Menma but was performing to this level, he already knew about the fireball technique, but even he could not perform the technique to this level and that speed, as if he was watching the battle between two Jonins, not a Janin and a Jonin, as he greeted his steed. So he was holding back all of this time, mocking him as Sasuke greeted his steed and clenched his fist, while on the other hand Naruto finally landed as he looked towards Kakashi, who had a smirk on his face. Well, that is good ninjutsu, Naruto. Mind telling me where did you learn it? It's not the smirk. Well, sensei, a good shinobi never reveals his secret. But I will show you something. After all, we have already gone through our little bit of ninjutsu. Why not try our luck at, you can say, taijutsu? As Kakashi chuckled a little. Well, you were able to hit me previously, but do not think that. But before he could say anything, suddenly Naruto crosses his arm. Well then, allow me to, you can say, demonstrate my might. And just like that, a greenish aura started to appear in Naruto's body as Kakashi could not believe his eyes. That technique, where did Naruto even learn that technique? As Naruto said, first gate open, second gate open, third gate open, fourth gate open, and just like that, Naruto has opened four gates as before Kakashi could say anything. Naruto was already in front of him as Kakashi greeted his state and crossed his arm as the Naruto's face slammed into his arm, sending him a bit backward as Kakashi was able to slide on the ground as he rushed towards Naruto, and both of them started to engage in a taijutsu battle as Kakashi was being pushed back. The speed and power of this kid was truly impressive, even though Kakashi was not exactly going all out with his sharingan, but this was already a level of a Jonin, he could tell, as Naruto flipped over him and once again started to go through hand sign and release, you can say, wind bullets towards Kakashi as Kakashi quickly jumped out of the way as Naruto landed. As Kakashi said, well Naruto, I would like to play with you, but I'm running a bit out of time. While on the other hand, Kakashi made two shadow clones and afterward rushed towards Naruto. While on the other hand, the shadow clones started to fight off against Sakura and Sasuke to see their capabilities after he has already subdued both of them. As it is stealth, the shadow clones, and now he was fighting off against Naruto as Kakashi unknowingly had a small smirk on his face. He was actually enjoying the battle, but before he could say anything, suddenly the bell went off as Kakashi looked towards Naruto with the eye smile. Well, it seemed that the time is over, Naruto. So why don't you come with me? As Naruto looked towards him with a blank look on his face, as he said, well then, I think that it is time. As after saying that, he deactivated the gates as he looked towards Kakashi and suddenly he put his hand to his pocket and brought out two bells. As Kakashi's eyes widened after seeing the bells, as he looked down, he has completely forgotten about the bells. And Naruto must have taken it during their battle and he didn't even notice as he said unconsciously when, as Naruto said, well, at the start of the battle, when I punch you with my clone. As Kakashi remembered that, he was pretty surprised and he didn't notice that Naruto must have snatched those bells from him as he started to chuckle a little bit, never in the history of the, you can say, Konoha, any kid or any team was successfully able to take the bells from their Jonin sensei. Well, this is truly impressive. It seemed that his sensei's son was truly hiding his abilities, even though it concerns him a little after he remembered Naruto's goal, but still, he was a bit proud and he was feeling like bragging a little bit as well, but decided not to do so. So, he simply brought, you can say, Naruto to Sasuke and Sakura was the one, you can say, tied up to the hole, you can say, storm, where Naruto simply pointed to Sasuke about the whole Kakashi speech. Sasuke quickly realized what Naruto was telling, so he decided to reluctantly, and I must say very reluctantly, decided to feed Sakura as Sakura was simply eating. So Naruto simply gave a small part of his food on Sasuke's plate, which Sasuke decided to give to Sakura as Kakashi finally arrived and announced that how they have already passed and about his whole speech about those who abandoned their comrades are worse than trash. After saying that, he simply decided to leave the place and saying that how they were already Team 7 as Sasuke was looking a bit frustrated. After all, the level of combat he has seen from Naruto was truly something else. The techniques he has performed, Sasuke has never even heard about them. And on top of that, especially that greenish energy from his body, he was able to multiply his power. Sasuke could tell that even though he didn't have the sharingan, that technique was truly something else. He was about to ask something when he noticed that Naruto was not even there and Sakura was the only one who was now looking towards him like a lost puppy. As Sasuke sighed, he truly need to learn that vanishing technique from his sensei as soon as possible so he could get rid of these foolish fangirls. After saying that, he huffed a little and decided to walk away, and Sakura was still following him, while on the other hand, Kakashi has just arrived, and just like yesterday, Kushina was there as she was giving a report about some D and complaining about some D rank missions as Jiraiya and Tsunade were once again present there as Kakashi arrived from the window as I said, well sensei, I am here and I have already tested Team 7 and I am here to give the results. As Minato looked towards him, so you have already tested it and it seemed that they have given you quite a lot of trouble, Kakashi. It seemed that you're getting a bit rusty. Should I give you some more lessons? As he chuckled after saying that, as Kakashi glared a little towards his sensei, well sensei, it is not that. Though I must say that my team is truly special, and if I'm a bit daring, I will say that my team is truly the strongest in the whole team of this year. At this, even Jiraiya was a bit intrigued. What you can say, what he has said, as Minato said, well, Kakashi, I know that Sasuke is talented, but I don't think that he alone make your team that powerful. As at that, Kakashi shook his head. Well, I was able to test Sasuke and I must say that he is a bit talented, but the most surprising one was not Sasuke, it was your son Naruto. He's truly impressive and if I must say, he has taken most of your intelligence and prodigy with him. At this, Minato was truly surprised. After all, he has never heard anyone saying that Naruto has taken most from him. And now he was a bit intrigued. Even you can say Jiraiya was a bit surprised after hearing that. As Kushina said, "What are you talking about?" Kakashi just said as Kakashi nodded after he started to go on about the whole test and how he has seen Naruto performing, you can say, to nature transformation, and he was able to perform those techniques. As Minato was flabbergasted, he could not understand how is this even possible, do technique, as well, it was not like those were some clan techniques or forbidden techniques, but for a genin to know about those techniques, it was truly surprising. Not only that, when he heard that Naruto was able to open 4 gates, he was truly, utterly shocked as he said, "Wait a minute, Kakashi, are you saying that Naruto knows the 8 gate technique? How is this even possible? Who could have taught it? Only one person know about that technique in the whole Konoha, and I doubt that he's the one he has taught Naruto." As he gave a signal to a Ambu, as a Ambu appeared, "Bring me my guy." After some time, you can say Kakashi was still answering Minato, and when my guy has appeared, as he said, "Yosh, the youthful green beast of Konoha is here, Lord Hokage." As everyone stepped, you can say, sweat drop a little, as you can say, Minato coughed a little. "Well, my guy, I have summoned you here for a specific reason. I want to ask you about something." At this, you can say, guy gave a thumbs up, and he was about to go on about the flames of youth when Minato decided to ask him the question. As you said, "Well, guy, have you taught anyone about your forbidden technique, the 8 inner gates?" At this, guy had a serious expression on his face. So you have find out about it, Lord Hokage." At this, you can say, Jiraiya spoke up. "Guy, I must say that was truly irresponsible of you. How can you taught someone the 8 inner gate technique? Do you not know that how dangerous it is for someone to know of that technique, especially a kid?" At this, guy gave Jiraiya a look. "Well, he is my student and he has the right to learn the technique, and I have seen his determination. My Lee is truly superb, and he has already learned how to open 3 gates, and I'm pretty sure that he will be able to open even more gates by the time of the Chunin exam." As everyone was now looking towards him, pretty surprised. At this, Minato said, "Wait a minute, are you saying that you have taught your student Lee the technique?" "Well, I was not exactly asking about him," as he said. "No, I'm asking that if you have taught my eldest son Naruto Uzumaki about the technique of the inner gates." At this, guy looked towards him as he started to think, after all, he has never seen the eldest son of the Hokage, even though he has heard the name and only the rumors that how he's not exactly as talented as his younger siblings and therefore not as special. As Shishuki said, "Lord Hokage, I do not understand. What are you saying? Are you saying that your eldest son knows about the 18 gate technique? And if it is, I'm surprised, but I am not the one who has taught him the technique." As everyone was now pretty surprised and wondering where did he even learn the technique, and they were expected, hoping that Naruto will tell them. It seemed that your son is keeping secrets, Minato. I do not like the feeling of it, especially knowing about his goal. As Jiraiya spoke up, as Tsunade nodded, "Why should he hide some secrets from his family if he is as talented as Kakashi is saying so? Maybe we should question him, Minato. After all, we cannot let having another Orochimaru running around." At this, Minato glared towards both of them. "Are you saying that my son is gonna be another Orochimaru? You should watch your tongue." At that, Tsunade was a bit angry but decided not to retort as Jiraiya stopped her. "Well, Minato, we are not saying that he's gonna be next Orochimaru, but his goals are not exactly healthy, and knowing already these many techniques, he is already working towards those goals, and we should stop him as soon as possible before things turn out ugly." At this, all of them nodded as Minato sighed as they looked towards Kakashi. "Kakashi, keep an eye on him. I will question him this night about the techniques and where did he even learn those techniques to begin with." As my guy was a bit confused but decided not to say anything about it as he could already understand the situation a bit. As Kakashi was also a bit, you can say, angry after all, even though it was not even a day, but still Naruto was now his student, and these people are saying that how he's gonna be the next Orochimaru, so he was not exactly happy about the whole situation, but nodded nonetheless and decided to leave from here. As my guy was also dismissed as Kushina spoke up, Minato, are you sure that you're not secretly teaching him? As she looked towards Minato, as Minato shook his head, of course not. I'm too busy with my Hokage duties that I barely get time to teach Menma and Mito to begin with. How can I teach him? As they were now looking towards each other while Jiraiya was a bit suspicious and Tsunade didn't care much about it, and Kushina was, you can say, well, she doted too much on Menma and Mito to think about Naruto much. After all, the kid was not as special, and both Menma and Mito had red hair, so therefore they were considered the true Uzumakis, while Naruto had only blonde hair like his father, and Minato was, well, to the most of the people eyes, was simply from a civilian family. So, Menma and Mito were clearly more important in the revival of the Uzumaki clan to begin with, so they were far more special. While on the other hand, Jiraiya simply shook his head, that is more than enough about that kid. We should focus more on Menma and Mito. After all, their training is more important. And just like that, the mood shifted and they decided to think about how they're gonna train, you can say, Menma and Mito even further. While on the other hand, Naruto was at the moment training, as at the moment he was in the fifth gate and he was sparring with his exact duplicate, which also had the fifth gate activated on the sidelines. Another Naruto was standing there with his Mangekyo Sharingan looking towards each and every move of both of his clones which were present there. And these were special clones that Naruto had made. This he called darkness clones. As not to smirk at that, he would have called them shadow clones as they were exactly made from his shadow. Though the name was already taken, so not to simply call them Darkness Clone. Well, he didn't think much of the name, anyways. But at the moment, he was simply looking towards both of his clones, and both of them were sparring, and Naruto was trying to look for the weaknesses so that he could improve. This was a secret training ground, and there were several seals present here to make it look like this was just a normal area and prevent any sensory shinobis to able to sense him just like that. So yeah guys, here I will leave this part. Hopefully you guys like it. For the next part, the like goal is 200 likes, 80 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as soon as possible. So yeah guys, see you soon. Peace.